This club's about winning trophies. I'm inexperienced in a lot of those things.
3-0.
Can you believe it?
Almost lost the cup and you win it. The new European champions, the treble, the dream come true for you.
Oh, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Football, bloody hell. But they never give in. And that's the winner.
Welcome to the American Red Devils podcast. I'm John.
I'm Alex.
We are bringing you the best Manchester United news from this side of the pond.
Ooh, sir, how you doing? How you doing? Happy Sunday. Happy football. I know what you're excited about. I think a lot of Red Devils and American Red Devils and just football fans around the world are excited about. Premier League is coming back. Numbers are heading in the right direction. The testing has been promising, especially out of the Premier League, and things are looking good, sir. We have a date. We're
back. We're back, baby. Not Manchester United, but football in England will be back June 17th. Like you said, testing's going great. Everything's going great. And look, 17 days away from the footy rolling again in England. And this exceeds my expectations, sir. We had some tough times. We had some dark days here. It's been almost 100 days without English Premier League, and we're coming back. So, you know, the sweet ain't so sweet without the bitter, but we're here.
It'll be basically end up being, you know, as long as everything goes to course and we do start playing football again on the 17th, basically 3 months. It was like a 3-month hiatus from front to back. It feels in some ways longer, in some ways shorter, but it's been a hell of a break, and I'm bullish. I'm very bullish on where this squad is, the options we have. Just watching this game we did today, it was a great throwback match. Rocky part of the season, right? Ole was under a lot of pressure at this point, and you see like the points in this squad that you'd want to fix or upgrade. One being Jesse Lingard, which he did. You know, you want maybe Luke Shaw instead of Ashley Young, but that was a good team and good performance from Rashford. Red hot Rashford just tearing Spurs apart in the beginning of the season.
So this is a great rewatch match. So obviously we're gearing up for that Spurs match that will be played somewhere between June 19th and the 21st. We don't know exactly when or how early we're going to be getting up for that match. But that was the match we were supposed to go to as well, you know, and it's like so much on the line still. Spurs fighting for top four. And we thought, since we're coming back so soon, why don't we watch the Spurs game from earlier this year so we can get an idea of kind of where we how we matched up against them.
It was a good rewatch for a lot of reasons. Obviously, we were playing them again when it was one of Jose's first matches as manager of Spurs, but a lot happened between then and now, right? That was beginning of December, so we had a rocky road. We beat City after that, but then we lost a bunch of games around the holidays. His job was really on the line. Brought in Bruno, brought in Galu, and then we went on that run, 11 games unbeaten. And now, I mean, everything I've seen from coming out of the squad, coming out of the match news and team news is that, like, squad's fit. He was like, I was very surprised at how fit everybody came back. Everybody's chomping at the bit. The competition is there, and things are positive coming out of the news, other than the financials, which we will get to in a bit, sir. But the team news is very good. Financial news, not so much.
Well, we got to focus on the football, you know. But yeah, we'll get to the financials later. Yeah, the one thing about this United team, like you said, we're going up against Spurs. That was a fully fit Spurs. For some reason, I thought Harry Kane was injured. I think that's just because
he looked injured.
Got my wires crossed, and that he was injured for this upcoming fixture that was obviously postponed. But that was a fully fit Spurs team under Jose Mourinho. And, you know, we didn't have Paul P. It was like the main man was Rashford, right, who went down shortly after this fixture. But we dominated Spurs. I mean, that was just absolutely like – I was nervy going into that match, but you said like the first 30 minutes we play lights out. Rashford, you know, shades of Ronaldo, honestly. The free kick, the strikes from distance, hitting the bar, scoring. I mean, man, did we miss Rashford after he went down. This is like peak Rashford. I'm going to say this season he was playing lights out. This game, he was really coming into his own.
Well, probably one of the best Marcus Rashford performances. He's had some great games against Spurs. He scored some big goals against Spurs. But I forgot how good he was in this game and how good the team was, to be honest. I don't remember us playing this well. Shout out credit to midfield, right? McTominay and Fred were terrific in this game. I thought Greenwood played pretty well. Lingard was not great, but even still.
Dan James
looked good. So imagine that team with a Bruno Fernandes and maybe a Paul Pogba somewhere. I don't know where he fits in, but we have options, and that's something that we
I'm
didn't
pretty
have
sure
before.
he fits in the middle of the park, sir. Maybe
who are you going to drop though? And then you have Matic, right? Because Matic is a shoe-in to start as well, given his form. So we actually are pretty deep in midfield at this point with everybody fit.
Yeah, look, this game gives me a lot of confidence coming up playing Spurs in 20 days or even less than that. But the one part of the field I do think we're lacking is that right wing spot, and it's so it's at the top of our mind. Dan James did a great job, but Sancho playing lights out in the Bundesliga, got a hat trick today. I mean, he would just come in, and you could bank that, sir. You could bank a few goals for Jadon Sancho.
And you know what? Before a week ago, I was like full steam ahead. Even with coronavirus, we're gonna have enough cash to get a deal done. I hate to say it. You peek it underneath that skirt, sir. It looks a lot less likely that we're doing a deal of 80, 100 million pounds, which is what? Come on. Dortmund are not going to sell him for less than that. He's 20, and he's got a long-term contract, so they're not going to sell him cheap. I just don't see it happening this year. We are in a tough cash position. I don't think we're selling Pogba. I mean, maybe if we make a Champions League, they can borrow some money and make it happen, but that kind of put a dimmer on everything. When you start looking under the hood and you see how dire it really is, I don't think we're going to see big splashes of cash this summer. No Harry Maguire deal is what I'm thinking.
They could do some trickery if, they set to pay the fee delayed, maybe pay them in 2 years or pay them in installments. They might be able to do something creative to get Sancho in. Either way, they're pretty stretched. But, I just, as a fan perspective, seeing him on the right wing for United would be great. But Dan James, he played great in this game and he looked good. I'm feeling confident going to the Spurs match, but the real thing you do not know is how the teams are going to come out not playing at that level for so long. Like, you're looking at a December fixture, players are fit, the team is gelled, and you're seeing really high level football. I think you're going to see like a friendly match, sir. It's going to look a little sloppy. I think players it's not going to be quite that full pace that we just watched this game today.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think there's a little bit more training in the build-up to return to football versus what they had in the Bundesliga, because those first wave of Bundesliga matches looked real slow. Felt really much like training. It wasn't the same like the last game. United looked pretty sharp at that point and kind of just steamrolled last, even though there was no fans. I think United's going to come out hot, even though it's going to be, there's no matches yet, but we're going to have 3 weeks of contact training. And they do look fit, and there's a lot of competition finally in the squad. When did we ever say that? But there's actually like some depth in midfield, and Ole's gonna have a challenge picking 3 midfielders from his crop of 6 at the moment.
And the fact we're actually talking about a game that is going to happen is just complete. I mean, I'm back. We're back. The pod is back.
Back
we're
in
talking
business.
About a fixture. It's a long way away.
It's 3 weeks away.
We're back. We're talking about something that will happen, a game that will happen, not a game that has happened. But, sir, so we jump into our coronavirus lockdown update. This will be one of the last coronavirus updates, which will, unless something blows up when the lads come back.
Knock on wood. Take us through it, sir. What is the latest as it comes to the comeback for Premier League football?
So, look, I said this past week would be a big week, and it was a huge week, sir. It started out on the 27th when Premier League clubs, they did vote unanimously to approve to return to contract training. This was a huge step in the right direction. And then shortly after that, the next day, May 28th, EPL was announced they were coming back. And that was that TV meeting that we talked about. And essentially, Manchester City versus Arsenal will lead the line, and Aston Villa versus Sheffield United. Both great games. You'll be watching both. Manchester City versus Arsenal. I mean, you love Arsenal to pip City. And then you have Aston Villa, Jack Grealish, hopefully signing him as well, sir, with the money TBD. We'll pip Sheffield United, and we'll do 2 for us in the table before we even set foot on the pitch, which will be between June 19th and the 21st, sir. Essentially, they're playing those 92 games, and we're planning on finishing the campaign by July 25th. So quite a bit to do in that period of time. Some midweek fixtures, a lot of weekend fixtures. How are you feeling about that schedule?
I had to recalibrate the wife's expectations about the summer. I was like, honey, we're not going anywhere. Traveling's off the menu, but hey, there's plenty of football coming up, so get ready for that. I mean, I would imagine there's just going to be more opportunities for my new son to get a lot of football in at an early age. Maybe I'll let the wife get some naps while we watch back-to-back games on Saturday and Sunday. But they're starting early is the only thing. But I have a feeling I have a feeling. I know how Premier League works, bro. Nothing's an accident. United Spurs are going to be that Friday night game. They would love to have the U.S. market at noon, 3:00 on the East Coast, and all the people in England just like up late for a Friday game with obviously the biggest team in England playing, right? Big ticket match, Manchester United involved.
No, absolutely. I think you're right. I was surprised we're not playing on that Wednesday, but
Friday,
I do think
baby,
it's a Friday night. Friday night under the lights.
Like QPR away. Remember going to QPR? Like that Friday night game was unbelievable. We went as just neutrals, but it was that was an experience. Dark Ale's out of a bucket, sir.
Sir, Queen's Park raisins.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, so that is the fixtures for the first weekend back, but they did release some time slots for the TV schedule. Essentially, they're going to be doing like back-to-back games. So they're not going to be running games at the same time, which I think is amazing from a fan perspective. The time slots they're going to be going with Fridays at noon Pacific or 3 Eastern, right? I translated from the UK. Saturdays, 4:30 a.m., sir. The question is, how many 4:30 a.m.s are we going to get on Saturday? Then 7 a.m., 9:30 a.m., and 12 p.m. So you're going to have these games played in a serial fashion. Sunday, earliest wake-up call, 4 a.m. Pacific. If you're on the East Coast, it's only 7, so you're not worried about any of this drama we're spinning. 6 a.m., 8:30 a.m., and 11 a.m. Pacific. And then they're going to be playing games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at either 10 a.m. or 12 p.m. Pacific. So you're looking at basically football all day, all the time. Like I said, it's 92 games. It's going to be crazy. We're fighting for top 4. United till I die, sir. That's why we do this podcast. We're playing. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
You play to win the game. You play to finish the season on a high note, and we have everything left to play for. Dude, we have everything left to play for. Top 4, top 3, and 2 pieces of silverware. So make or break. It's a make or break finish the season. I think not only because in general, right, you want to finish the season well. It adds to the players' confidence. You obviously want to pick up some silverware, but actually the club needs it. The club needs Champions League football. And for many ways, not necessarily for survival, but it's thrival. It's like they would thrive if they can get that extra cash right now because they could certainly use it.
Yeah. And so, the way that this club set up is like, we need the money for Champions League football. You wouldn't think, we looked at the, I forget what accounting firm just released the valuations of the most valuable clubs in Europe. And I think we're number 2 to Real Madrid. Is it, sir? Is that correct?
I think you're correct. I think it was KPMG that released that.
Yeah.
We're near the top, but we're slowing down. And that's the sad thing.
We're number 2. Yeah, we're number 2 because we just generate so much money. But the problem is we have so much debt, as everyone knows. So, it kind of chokes the club, but sort of back into the coronavirus lockdown update. Just yesterday, they announced basically no one in the last round of testing tested positive for coronavirus. I mean, this is just like everything's turning up roses, sir. And the UK government same day said permitted return of competitive sport in England. Like we said, that phase 2 plan. So we did make it to that phase 2 for the UK government. So they've blessed it. And then the head of the EPL comes out and says, we are optimistic we'll see fans in stadiums next season, but they will be phased in. That is kind of the quote. So not only do we have football back, not only do we have a lights out schedule, no coronavirus positive testing, government green lights football, and all of a sudden the EPL is like, I think we're getting fans back next year. So when you talk about a big week, that was a big week, and we are back, baby. The pod is back. United are back. We're going for top 4. Let's do this thing. It's going to be a crazy summer. I absolutely cannot wait. I'm glad we're going to stop talking about coronavirus.
So am I. I'm sure all the fans are as well. But do we ever go anywhere, sir? I'm not sure. We're back. We've been here the whole time. We haven't gone anywhere. We've been keeping the content coming. I know, but like,
fresh.
Come on.
Sir,
it's like, speaking of getting fans back in the stadium, I need to get you back in the pod room. that's when we're well and truly back. One day soon, I hope.
United are back. We'll be back.
Oh my God, 4 a.m. wake up times. You show at 4 a.m. My wife's gonna murder me.
I'll be there at 3:35.
Yeah, ringing the doorbell.
As always, and then there was a little birdie chirp in FA Cup quarterfinals. They were released. We look like we're playing Norwich. This is going to happen June 27th to the 28th. We're going for silverware. So we're not only going to make top 4, we're going to make silverware. Leicester drew Chelsea. That's pretty good. Newcastle versus City. Sheffield United versus Arsenal. A lot of big names in it, but I think we can win it. FA Cup. It's not in the poor man's treble, but it's a trophy you want to win. So I think EPL going for FA Cup. It looks like Europa League, Champions League with the quarantine in the UK. You got quarantine for 2 weeks if you want to enter the UK. I don't think The European competitions, I don't know what's going on with them yet. We'll save an update for another day.
So I think they might do that like after all the leagues wrap. They might do like a tournament style 2 weeks, bring everyone to one location for that reason, right? The whole quarantine risk. And then you have the whole Brexit thing on top of it. It's kind of this whole thing this summer is going to be quite a development. This is good news. It was big news for the return of the Premier League. But then when you just sprinkle in all the other cup competitions beyond the FA Cup, right, the European football as well, it'd be interesting to see how to make it work with. And then next season coming back and preseason, I don't envy whoever has to figure out all the logistics.
I will have to say that this is the best case scenario we could have ever expected. Right. You had the players chirping, you had the case growth in the UK, you had all these headwinds. I even said, I don't even know if we're going to see football this year, at the lowest of the low. And then for them to bring it all back, for everyone to be on the same page, unanimous voting from the clubs, no one chirping about relegation. I mean, this is unbelievable that we're going to be back. You contrast that with American sports like the MLB. The biggest hurdle for them is money, and this didn't even come up for the EPL. I mean, the fact that everyone wants to get on the pitch, they all want to play. Some clubs took wage cuts. It's just showing like how resilient this league is, especially in a country, that's been hit really hard. And we're going to see English Premier League football before we see NBA, NHL, MLB, or any other sports in the United States. And I have to take my hat off to them for getting this done, because it took a hell of an effort. The results have been amazing, and this has completely exceeded my expectations. I couldn't be more excited as a fan to see the sport come back.
I mean, not to put you on the spot, sir, but do you know when the other American sports are supposed to come back? Is there a scheduled timeline, or is it all kind of in the air at the moment?
MLB is probably the most in dire straits because they're arguing over money. Essentially, the players don't want to play for reduced pay, right? Because they don't.
It'd be a shorter season.
Yeah, it's a player versus owner problem. Yeah, shorter season. That essentially they don't want prorated wages. And then in the NBA, they look like they're going to be coming back probably July, and they're going to be playing in that Disney complex, where it's kind of like all the teams are going to go to this giant wild world of sports in Disney, and they're going to play. NHL is going to probably do similar thing.
Smart.
And they have shorter seasons because they're finishing the playoffs, kind of like the EPL. But even then, it's going to take them longer to get back than English Premier League did. So for England to do this on this timeline and have those tests and have no results, I mean, this is like, look, everything's coming up good. It could all fall down pretty fast. It's a house of cards if there's a case or an outbreak or something. But as fans, you have to take your hat off for the monumental effort on the part of the players, the clubs, the FA, everything in England and the UK government to get this done and back, because I think it's going to go a long way for morale, worldwide, for all Manchester United fans, American Red Devils fans. I couldn't be more excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, we need. There's a lot of time and a lot of things that happen between now and actually seeing football. So 3 weeks to go, but the matches are where kind of like the rubber hits the road, right? It is happening, but it's like one thing is training at a facility where you can kind of control the players and what they're doing and their families. But then you start getting staff involved.
No. There's no pessimism here, sir. No, not allowed.
Let's keep moving. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep. I'm just playing devil's advocate, but just you just keep moving. Keep the pot humming.
The only thing I'm worried about right now is Tottenham Hotspur. In the match we're going to break down here, Old Trafford rocking. Amazing atmosphere. We're going to go away to Spurs. It's going to be quiet there because there's going to be no fans, but it's pretty quiet when you play at Spurs anyway.
Seriously. They don't make much noise to begin with.
This match, it's such a sticking point for you and me because we're going to this match. We're going to this match, had our flights booked to London. We had our tickets, paid the tout his hard-earned money, sir. We had our away seats ready to go like 2 days before, and we called off, and the match was called off right after that. The band on travel to the UK right after that. So
it was that weekend we would have had a nightmare getting back to the States. So the best thing we could have done is just not gone in the first place. But it all came to a head that weekend. It's kind of amazing that was the weekend. That was the last game, right? Last game was the last game. And then it was Spurs. So it's like that big filling that gap, right? That 3 months with no football, but now it's all coming back, and it's going to be.
Yeah, but I want to go. I want to go drink.
Everyone wants to go. That's the problem. Is like
in the away section.
Is the fans are going to like. What are fans going to do, right? If your team is playing all these games and they're playing like, games this late, you're going to want to go have a good time, have a bunch of pints, hang out with your lads. That's going to be an interesting thing to manage for the police.
Well, they said obviously Liverpool can win the title pretty soon on here. They're basically saying, like, what are the police going to do in Liverpool? Everyone's going to be out in the street just, like, going nuts. Right. It's been 30 years. They won the title. They're going to stay at home. Like, that's not going to happen. So, if the UK government did bless this, but they might regret it when they see how many people are, like, in the streets after, the Scouse bastards. Don't want to say it, they might
let them have it. Let them have it. Well, whatever.
All right, let's jump into our throwback match. Manchester United 2, Spurs 1, Old Trafford. This is December 4th, 2019. Big game here, like you said, in the lineup of fixtures. Ole really needed this one. Starting 11, Day saves, world number 1 in net. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, right back. Lindelof, Maguire, center back pairing. Ashley Young, yes, he used to play for Manchester United at left back. McTominay, Fred in the midfield 2. Lingard at 10. Greenwood on the right. Rashford up top. And James on the left. What'd you make of this lineup, sir?
I mean, it's a decent starting 11, like we said. There's a couple of positions that you trade out players, Lingard being one of them. Obviously, Sancho would be a huge upgrade for Dan James, but did a good job in this game. Aaron Maguire looked strong, and I really think Scott McTominay and Fred put in a hell of a shift, other than the standout performance, which was Marcus Rashford. But there's some talent in this team.
Yeah, this was the team sheet, but as I had it when they started playing, Rashford was actually on the left, James on the right, and Greenwood through the middle. At least kind of what I was watching. I don't know if you saw the same thing.
I mean, they were moving quite a bit. At different times, they would kind of take up different things, and the triangle seemed to rotate. But I hear what you're saying.
Sorry, do you want to take us in the first half?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. And United, they came out hot in the first half, looking to bring it to Jose's man from the start. Didn't take long in the 6th minute. That red-hot Rashford.
Drops nicely. Rashford shot. It's gone in. Marcus Rashford. Gazaniga couldn't keep it out. Too hot to handle. And within the first 6 minutes, Marcus Rashford fires home, and United lead 1-0.
Well, you're saying shoot from that angle, you shouldn't really be shooting, but you got it right.
Shouldn't really be shooting, but hey, he's got that knuckleball, doesn't he, Marcus Rashford? It just kind of skids and floats. I tell you what, the goalie had a much better game after he let this one in, but hey, I'll take it. It's a goal, right, sir?
Rashford coming in hot on the left-hand side, takes that shot with confidence, beats him. 1-0. Spurs, lads, it's Tottenham, just completely smoking them. Jose Mourinho on the touchline, fans ripping. Old Trafford, amazing atmosphere. Absolutely love it. I'm in love with this club.
Dude, I love this club. Greatest club in the world, greatest fans in the world. Don't miss Jose Mourinho. Well, rewatching this match, I'm like, I don't miss him at all.
No.
Don't miss him at all. I like
not at all.
Positivity. It's back on the menu. After this goal, United were rampant in the first half. 18th minute, Rashford goes close from a free kick after Fred does well to draw a foul. That thing was moving, humming in the top left corner, just misses. And then in the 23rd minute, a good chance for Greenwood, actually, after some nice link-up play from United, forced the keeper into a good save.
This was an amazing link-up play, all the way from the back from, I want to say, Lindelof to Maguire, 1-2, then to McTominay in the middle of the park, ran forward, found Dan James on the right-hand side, gets the ball in to Greenwood. I mean, you look at this type of play, you look at those players who are touching the ball, it's exactly what you want to see. Scotty McTominay bringing the ball forward, getting it on the right wing, and then Dan James doing a great job to get it in. And this should have been a goal. I mean, it was just right at the keeper. I mean, this is perfect end-to-end play for Manchester United.
It should have been a goal, and usually, you'd favor Greenwood to score in that position. We've seen him score in that position. Forces the keeper into a decent save, but usually he's carving into those back corners where no one can save it. 25th minute, Rashford, he rockets the ball off the bar. Was just feeling in the mood, especially in that first half. He was just looking unplayable.
I mean, he was feeling it. This is unbelievable. This is like Ronaldo-esque, honestly, just like hitting it. Like, when was the last time you've seen someone hit it like that at Old Trafford? I mean, Bruno's had one. Pogba. I wish I could see Pogba hit bangers more, but I wish I could see Pogba just play more.
Who can't wait to see that? Rashford wasn't done. 27th minute, he forced the keeper into another good save. Jesse Sommelier decides to get in on the action. He has a nice, decent curling effort in the 28th minute. And then
this should have been a goal. That 28th minute should have been a goal.
Should have been a goal. It was all United to play in the first half until the 39th minute. A little bit individual genius out of Trollman Dele Alli.
Kept out by David De Gea. But then the ricochet is fired home by Dele Alli. And just about the first chance that Tottenham have had in the game, Dele Alli with a great finish. And
I mean, a piece of class from Dele Alli, to be fair. Maybe Fred should have done better, but it's a good, I mean, he's got that in his locker. It's the only thing he did all game, but it was a hell of a goal.
It was off his arm. VAR checked it. They didn't disallow
That didn't
it for
hit.
handball. It was off his arm.
It was not off his arm, bro. It was not.
I'm
all about biased VAR calls, but that was not off his arm. No way.
It rolled up his arm, and then he kicked it into the net. Handball. All right. It's like no good. Dele Alli, I mean, he looks hateable, acts like a complete twat. If you've ever followed the news of him off the pitch, kind of like a Kyle Walker character. You know, just like not a fan. Shouldn't like him. Don't like him. He scored a good goal. Yeah, I mean, Dele Alli, come on.
Wouldn't want him on my team. He's a player, but I heard he's got a piss poor attitude and looks like it. But nice goal from him. Headed into the halftime, what do you think Ole's message would have been after dominating the way they did and then going in all square?
You know, if you remember this part of the season, this is classic United. It's that 1-0 up, can't keep it, let in a goal despite all the goodwill, like all those Rashford chances that earlier. So really a mental test for the lads. I don't know exactly what Ole said, but, you know, got to keep it up, got to try to get that winner, because at the end of the day, Ole did need this win.
He certainly did. But United were not going to let their manager go down without a fight. They came out in the second half. Didn't take long. In the 47th minute, red hot Rashford.
United win it back with Rashford. Rashford is
penalty. That's a penalty.
What a crazy challenge.
It's a penalty.
Paul was right there, and that is a crazy challenge on Marcus Rashford, who got beyond his man. Here comes Rashford. As cool as you like. He sent the goalkeeper the wrong way, and Rashford, in such hot form at the moment, scores again. He gets one early in the second half after one.
How much do we miss Marcus Rashford after he went down with that double stress fracture in his back? I mean, because United were turning the ship. He was a big part of it, and then they got that injury, and it looked bleak. Those first couple of weeks of January were tough.
It's amazing we were able to play as well as we did without him. If you think about it, like the big momentum swing of United coming back, roaring up the table, beating City. I mean, this is all done without Rashford, right? Bruno Fernandes coming in, our Portuguese Magnifico, he kind of lit the fire, but imagine Rashford playing with Bruno. We haven't seen it. Imagine Bruno playing with Pogba. We haven't seen it. I mean, it's just like,
that's why I'm bullish. That's why I'm bullish, sir. That's why I'm bullish. Why wouldn't you be bullish with all those options?
Of course I'm bullish. It's just like anything. You don't want to be playing Tottenham in the tune-up match. That's all I'm saying. They're not playing a match-fit football. You can see it when Dortmund played Bayern. All the players went in extra gear, and Haaland went down with an injury, right? Because when you play some like chump team, you know you're going to win. You're not really playing 100%. And then you play Bayern for the league, and it actually matters. You try 100%, you get hurt. That's what I'm worried about with Manchester United right now. Is they're going to come out way too hot. Hopefully no one goes down with any ligament injuries, but that's exactly the type of injuries you expect to see.
Oh, well, let's not talk about injuries. Let's talk about positivity. I thought positivity was back on the menu, right? Football's coming back. I don't need no ligament. You talk about ligament injuries?
No, but it's too big of a game when they haven't played any game.
Friday night game too? But there's no fans at least. I mean, to let them keep their head a little bit.
All right. We shall see. We shall see.
It won't be loud. Put it that way. Match reactions. This win put United in 6th place at the time.
Sir, that was just the penalty. We have to finish the game.
Oh, my God. Yeah, you're right. This is the beginning of the first half, so let's keep going. After this, Spurs actually had their first good chance of the game other than the goal, but Fred got in a good block on Son in the 52nd minute. And then United on the counter, nice curling effort from James in the 62nd minute, and then followed it up with another good chance in the 68th. James looked pretty good in this game. What did you think of him?
I thought he was awesome. I mean, he was running riot. Dan James, I mean, he's very close to being a nailed-on starter, you know, but I think he's not quite there yet. But this game was probably some of the best he has. I mean, he had some great crosses, some great chances. He's absolutely rapid on the right.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that people would probably question about Dan James is sometimes his decision-making. You know, probably the same thing you might question sometimes about Tony Martial. So he's a player that will get better and better. He's definitely a player that you want in the squad. That, like, he's young, he's got a ton of upside, especially if he had someone like Jadon Sancho in front of him to offer some competition. But he's a good player to have around for sure.
Well, I mean, he takes a lot of shots. He's a small lad. He gets beat up a lot and gets back up. I mean, he's probably had he's had his bell rung a few times. Some lesser players might come off the pitch for that, but Dan James, the Welshman, they make him tough.
Hard as nails, sir. In the 80th minute, we had a sub. Pereira came on for Greenwood. Followed up 87th minute. Shaw came on for Lingard just to kind of shore up the ship. That was basically all she wrote. 92nd minute. United had a good chance from the break. Kind of went to waste, and then I think Ali had one little quick chance at the very, very end. But United come up with a big win. Ole gets the head pat on Jose, the famous head pat, and all 3 points, big 3 points at Old Trafford.
Do you remember what position in the table we were going into this game?
I don't.
If you had to guess.
It's 8th.
We were 9th. So if you recall, the Bournemouth game away, we lost. Beat Brighton at home 3-1. Tied Sheffield United 3-3. Then we drew Aston Villa at home. Right. That was the big one where we were kind of people were kind of rumbling. Ole's got to do something because then you have Tottenham, Manchester City. Remember that was that tight turnaround with those 2 big games
in 4 days, and he wins both 2-1.
And we needed to.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, right,
he would have been in real trouble. Oof.
Dude, drawing to Aston Villa, I mean, we were 9th coming into the game. Win this, get 6th, and then we beat City away 2-1. Rashford penalty, Martial. I mean, 5th place for Manchester United coming out of that swing, and that was huge. And you know what, sir, we're still in 5th.
Still in 5th. I think we're only 3 points back though at this point. So we've tightened it quite a bit after the run we went on right before the hiatus. Everything to play for. It's tight up there at the top too. Between 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, they're all kind of right within a couple points. So it's going to be a nervy end of the season.
But 2 fixtures that we went back. Watford away, we lost 2-0. Remember, Troy Deeney. Burnley at home, we lost 2-0. Right,
Brutal.
Those 2 games, we win those 2 games.
And then we lost to Arsenal. That was rough.
Yes,
yeah. Rough couple weeks.
You could say you lose to Arsenal, that's okay. But the Watford away, they haven't beaten anyone.
Yeah, wasn't it the first win of the season? The Watford game.
Maybe first win at home, I think, but it was definitely very bad. And those 2 games, you win one of those, we're tied. You win both of those, we're up. So we did drop points after that Tottenham game, but this was the real kind of momentum swing. Again, we did have that Rashford injury, so we did finish strong after that, though. Beat Chelsea, beat Watford, drew Everton, beat City at home. You remember that McTominay 96-minute winner. We rewatched that game. That's where we ended. If you think of the high that we ended, obviously last, but in the league, the high we landed on, the exclamation point, Scott McTominay.
To a buzzing Old Trafford, right? It's like one of the best atmospheres I can remember in recent games. So it's not going to be like that when we go back to Old Trafford, unfortunately, but hopefully we can continue the same form we finished in the league, because that game, they were terrific. We didn't just beat City. We turned the screws on City, and that was one of the best performances we've had against them in recent memory.
And what's crazy for the restart, we play Tottenham. That's that's our most difficult fixture other than Leicester City, which is the last day. That would be our last match of these 9. So Tottenham and Leicester are probably the 2 hardest fixtures, but we play them bookended, first and last. I think that could help or hurt.
The Troll's always got something in his locker. That's the problem. Is if it was just Spurs, but Spurs with Jose, you never know. He's gonna he'll have something. He's always got something planned. That's the reason that they'll have a chance. But I still think we're the better team. Like you said, we in December 5th or 4th, whatever this game was, they had a fully fit squad. Everybody was available. And I think we bossed them then without a bunch of key players. Now we're going to have Pogba in the mix, Bruno in the mix. Bullish, sir. Bye.
Jose playing for a draw. I can see him playing for a draw.
Totally.
Match reaction for the Spurs match. The win put us 6th place, like we said. 8 points behind Chelsea in 4th. Like you said, now we're 3 behind, so we've made up a lot of ground. Possession, United 47% to Spurs 53%. Giving Jose more of the ball, just trolling the troll. Shots on target, United 7 to Spurs 5. And Manchester United are unbeaten their last 9 home matches in all competitions, winning 5, drawing 4 since losing 2-1 to Crystal Palace in August. I do remember that game. Can't believe we lost to Crystal Palace. Former Manchester United manager Jose Mourinho has won none of his last 5 away Premier League matches against the Red Devils. He's drawn 3, lost 2, failing to beat 4 different managers in that time: Ferguson, Moyes, Van Gaal, and Solskjaer.
That's a great stat. 4 different managers in that time. It's too many managers.
Joe, I mean, if you look at Mourinho and that Spurs team, he's got to beat us. He should have beat us in this game. The fact he didn't is an indictment on him. And Marcus Rashford, red hot, has been directly involved in 11 goals his last 10 appearances in all competitions for Manchester United. 9 goals, 2 assists. Let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the manager, shall we?
Let's do it.
Was
At
that
the wheel.
best performance of the season so far? And if so, were you surprised maybe the levels? Because the levels were high tonight.
It's one of the best, yeah, definitely. We've had spells against Liverpool, spells against Chelsea, Leicester, of course. But the first 40 minutes were excellent today. But the reaction after they scored as well, I felt was good. Start of second half, so it's always a concern because so many times we've this season been winning, gone into a draw and then stayed at a draw. But they never gave in, trusted themselves, and I think we deserve to win.
The best performances have come against, as you say, Chelsea, Leicester, Liverpool. What's the reason behind the fact that you're so performant against the best teams?
There's many different reasons for how a game goes, but we've had players enjoying themselves tonight. That's definitely it's players taking people on. Sometimes it feels like maybe we haven't been good enough. We have to say we haven't been good enough breaking teams down when we've had 70-75% possession. But today was about 50-50. I don't know. But we had most of the ball first half. I thought some of the build-up play and the penetration we showed was excellent.
How do you make sure you build on this now?
Sir, I mean, Ole, Mr. Nice Guy, says it like it is. He's probably spot on. We have had trouble breaking down teams, which is one of the reasons that they made the acquisition that they did, the big one. Bruno, huge difference maker, because we need someone to, that can pass between the lines like he can.
No, exactly. He was the missing link. You could also say maybe central midfield as well, but we got healthy there. McTominay coming back, we had that boost. Fred, Matic stepping up, so I think we're covered there, especially with Pogba coming back. But yeah, it was amazing we were able to play to this level. Clearly, the man of the match, Rashford, just playing lights out. Ole got it right. He got it right. Players did well. I mean, I think that's part of it. It's almost like when we're playing worse or opposition, there's more pressure, right? Just like he said, we have more of the ball. It's on us. With Spurs, they're going to take risks. We can exploit the space at the back when they're going to come forward. I really think the good teams play into our hands and show the potential, right? On the night, we can beat any team in the league. And Ole got a spot on.
He did. And, he's always shown that ability to show up in big matches, get his team up for big matches. It's the smaller ones that have proved to be more challenging. Hopefully Bruno changes that. Hopefully the whole makeup of the squad now with all the options he has at his disposal change that. But if you can beat the big ones, you should be able to beat the small ones. And if we can do that, if we can get
Burnley, Watford,
Palace.
I mean, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. You're killing me.
It's rough.
Look, it's been talk about a long season. It's been a long season.
It's been a long season for a lot of reasons. It's been a lot of up and downs. I mean, next week we're going to do the recap of the year thus far, just to catch people up, including ourselves. Because holy shit, it's been ups and downs, and then a break.
Yeah.
And now, hopefully, just one big up. Hopefully, just don't lose a match.
It would be so hard to deal with the downside.
If it's just like a brutal summer, and then the team's like burning cash, and we got to sell players and sell let's hope. I'm hoping for positivity. I'm hoping for positivity.
Positivity all around. Speaking of positivity, United in the news. Jumping in our featured article from americanreddevils.com. Glazers take down more debt. Manchester United in cash crunch. Like we said last week, we said that United, they only have $90 million in cash. They owe a lot of money. It's coming due. They do not have enough money to operate at the moment. They're going to need more debt. And then on the 27th, I believe Wednesday, right after we recorded that podcast, they drew down 140 million pounds of a 150 million pound revolver. And for those who don't know what a revolving credit facility is, it's kind of like, a quick loan that you can take down if you need cash in a crunch, right? If you have any other senior subordinated debt, usually your assets back them, but a revolver is just kind of like, think of it like a credit card for Manchester United. Hey, we need a cool 140 million today. We got it. It does cost you more money because of how it is available so immediate, right? So United are going to be paying a lot of interest on this 140 million, sir. So, the Glazers add in debt on the balance sheet. It's not something you want to see because as fans, the club's in a tough position with a ton of debt. Right now, as far as they report on their balance sheet, 890 million pounds of debt and contractual obligations. They owe their eyeballs to debtors. And this is going to affect the team. It's going to affect the team this summer. It's huge. I'm working on my financial model for Manchester United. For some reason, for anyone asking, why are you doing it? Well, this is my background. Worked on Wall Street, taking companies public, know this stuff inside and out. I've probably spent more than 10 to 15 hours on this, and I'm doing my projections to look at what they're going to have available this summer. It's not looking good right now. I'm going to say they'll probably end the year June 30th, their fiscal year, with maybe 60 to 70 million in cash if they're lucky. And you have to think about they still owe a lot of money. They still have all this debt. They're not even paying it down. They're paying themselves dividends. This club is bled dry right now, and they have so much leverage that I don't know who would be willing to give them more. Sir, what do you think about that?
No, I mean, I think we talked about this before we got on the air. Were they lining up for a deal? It certainly looks like it based on the finances. All the Muppets, it's amazing. Like how, I hate to say it, how dumb soccer reporters are, but they're just like, they got 140 million in cash they're going to spend on players. It's like, no, they got to take the cash down to pay for players that they bought last year. It's like, this is not going towards new players. We have to make that abundantly clear. This is to basically cover their currently owed debt obligations or payables within the next couple of months. So it's like, it's not for some big window that they're planning for. It's just to like keep the boat floating so we don't sink.
So just to give you some detail, if you go to the article on americanreddevils.com, you can click on it, and I actually have it sourced from the financial statements. And what you're referring to is the 184 million pounds in purchase obligations, which means they are contractually obligated to pay 184 million pounds in less than a year, right? So we don't know exactly when that's due or what quarter it's due, but you're looking at how much money they have on hand right now, the 140 plus the 90 million in cash. You're looking at 230. That 184 is due within the year. So in a year, that's basically to be taken down to nothing. And where are they going to get the money to finance new player acquisitions, right? They also have to, the interest on the debt goes up because they took down an extra 140 million. And the scariest part of this all, and I know this sounds so boring and you're getting into terms that are completely, I'm sure fans are just rolling their eyeballs, is that if you look at any company on Wall Street, the way you mark to market how much debt they have and how safe it is, right? Because if you have too much debt, you can go bankrupt. We're seeing that a lot right now, given the hard times. A ratio of 4 to 5x from debt to EBITDA, which is basically your cash flow, is really high. And United coming in 2019 actual was 4.9. They're already running red line on the club.
Pre-COVID.
This is pre-COVID. This is last year, right? And if you add in that 140 million, they're doing 6.3x. Now, I projected out 2020 because we have 3 quarters so far. They're almost at 14.1 because of the COVID hit. They have so much debt and they're not making any money right now because they're losing their gate. They're losing their broadcast revenue with this rebate. The club's pretty much broke and they have more debt than they know what to do with. So when you're looking at the team, it's probably going to have 40 to $50 million in cash. They're going to be making some money. Who knows how much that is? They're going to have to cut something. There's going to be something drastic going on. This club is broke. The Glazers have run into the ground. They take out 45 million in interest and dividends a year. They bled this club completely dry. The only explanation is they're going to sell it. The only explanation why they'd be this screwed and they would run it this terribly is they were expecting the Saudis to buy them out, and they literally didn't care. Because usually if you're going to sell, you kind of run your cash down to the ground anyway, because the new owner will assume all that stuff. They had to be planning to sell the club, and that's why they're screwed right now. But it's really bad, and it's going to affect transfers. Like I said, there's wiggle room. They can do these type of deals where they pay Dortmund 100 million in 2 years from now, or they do it little payments over time. Say they pay them 10 million, then 30 next year. It's all going to come down to, do we make Champions League, and can they get fans to the stadiums next season? Because if there's a hit to any of that, they're screwed. They're completely screwed.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we peel back the onion, I also have a finance background, so I'm not doing the model like John's doing, but when you look at it, what the clear conclusion is probably the sale, but probably like they were planning on selling a player for a good amount of money if they were going to finance other acquisitions this transfer window, because there's no other way that they're going to be able to spend big cash on a Jadon Sancho unless they sold, say, a Paul Pogba for $100 million to Real Madrid. Since those type of deals are not going to be happening this summer, I would imagine player swap situations come into effect. And what really matters is Champions League football has never been more important to Manchester United, not just for attracting players, but just to like make sure that we can acquire players that are going to push us into the next echelon of European football, because this should be an opportunity for us to exploit. If we had a good balance sheet and the company was well run, we would have enough money to like gobble up players from clubs that are going to be desperate for cash, because they are. There's going to be so many clubs desperate for cash by the end of the summer. I know that sounds heartless, but this club is run by heartless people. They should be thinking that way. They should be like, we can buy up players for the cheap. We could buy Jack Grealish for $35 million if Aston Villa get relegated and are desperate for money. And unfortunately, instead, we're going to be the ones desperate for money.
Because the Glazers didn't run it in a responsible manner. They're taking money out of the club and adding debt. How does that make any sense? You're literally paying yourself money. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? The club's losing money, and you're part of that loss. And the Glazers are like literally just bleeding this club dry. And the only explanation is they are planning on selling it to let someone else deal with it. Oh yeah, by the way, we need another £1 billion put into the stadium because the stadium needs to be redone. Where are they going to get that money? Well, they already have, almost $1 billion in debt on this club if you include off balance sheet. So they're completely broke. They're literally broke. And I think fans are going to see it this summer. They're going to be very disappointed in what's going on. Look, I think the squad, it looks good. But like you said, they were planning on literally selling Paul P for 100, making Champions League, and that was the only way to get out of this whole cash crunch. And clearly the pandemic hit and blew everything up. So I'm going to say there's no way you could forecast the pandemic, but they were already playing with fire before we got here, and this couldn't have happened at a worse time for this club. We'll keep you guys posted. I'm working on the financial model. I know this is boring. If you don't care for it, fast forward. But this will impact this summer as well as how this team is structured going forward. And it's not something you want to see, which is why #Glazers out, #Zach Woodward. Get rid of these clowns. They shouldn't be playing with fire with the club we love. I mean, we're buying the merch. We're supporting the team. We're doing everything. And they're just taking that money, putting it in their pockets, and slapping debt on it. And it's absolute disgrace, and it has to be called out.
And it can't be forgotten because, I think good finish to the season, good finish before hiatus, the players coming in, the goodwill, right? The club did some good shit during everything, the beginning of the COVID, taking care of the local community, raising money, raising food, yada, yada. That was all PR blitz before the finances came out, because the finances, if you know what you're looking at, like every freaking every newspaper in England was like, oh, 140 million, they're flush, they're going to be spending money. No, it's bad. And that's the only reason we're talking about it so much.
Well, dude, Bruno was a stretch. That's what you don't realize. Them buying Bruno, that was a stretch.
They were desperate. They knew
they were desperate. Yeah,
they rolled the dice on that one, right? They're like, the only chance we have of getting Champions League football is if we buy a game changer, and it happened to work out. So thank our lucky stars that Bruno was Bruno.
No, and that they're gambling with this team, and look, they're sweating it. Look, Ed Woodward on the conference call, he quoted. This is a good quote everyone should listen to, because this is what he said on the investor call. Nobody should be under any illusions about the scale of the challenge facing everyone in football, and it may not be, quote, business as usual for any clubs, including ourselves, in the transfer market this summer. As even our priority is the success of the team, but we need visibility of impact across the whole industry, including timings of the transfer window, wider financial picture before we talk about return to normality. On this basis, I cannot help feeling that speculation around transfers of individual players for hundreds of millions of pounds this summer seems to ignore the realities that face the sport. That's a strong, safe statement from Ed Woodward saying Sancho ain't happening.
Basically, yeah. It's like there's no 100 million kiddies. No one's spending 300, 400 million this summer unless you're maybe the Saudis. Maybe Newcastle will, because they have they got cash, but not everyone else. Any normal operating football club is going to be under a totally different situation. It's going to be player swap bonanzas this summer, and that's the only viable way that most clubs will be able to get players in. I would think there's a lot of swaps. There's going to be deferred payments and based on performance and all this stuff, but it's not going to be business as usual.
Yeah, exactly. So, and things that United can do. Now we're talking about, okay, they can take on wages. So like a loan deal for Gareth Bale makes sense because they can take the wages, right? That's some meat for the fans. Why would you want Gareth Bale at this point? I have no idea, but you can pay out wages more than you can pay upfront transfer costs. Player swap makes sense as well. So I think we're going to see a little trickery from Ed Woodward there. He knows he has to give the fans red meat. Otherwise, they're going to riot outside with those green and gold scarves that we have on sale at americanreddevils.com. But you know what? I think that recaps the finance stuff. We're going to do our best to distill it down to different articles and charts, trying to translate it to the fans. If it's too much, please tweet us and say, shut up, we don't care. Either way, we're doing our best to try to get into this stuff and make sense of it, because amazingly, nobody's talking about, like you said, the BBC, no one's going through the financial statements. There's such a big disconnect from sport and the financial side. I think in the United States, it's a little different, the way the leagues are run. A lot of people are focused on this stuff. But in the UK, Manchester United is a public company. You can see all their financials. You can go to sec.gov. And for some reason, nobody's reading them. No one's going through it. And nobody's commenting on how terrible this club is run. Other than us, the American Red Devils.
We're keeping that flag waving high, man. Glazers out, Woodward out. It's not just for the hell of saying it. It's because they have been driving this club into the ground for years. They were carried by Sir Alex Ferguson, even though they weren't investing in the team, right? Sold Ronaldo for $80 million and spent like 15 the following summer. It's criminal. It's criminal what he could have achieved with a proper kitty, the way they were spending money pre those freaking parasites coming into the club. So it's just a testament to how good of a manager he was. Just an absolute legend. Probably another reason why he retired in 13 was like, this club's not spending money, I'm out. Anyway, so there we have.
Yeah, by the way, they don't even pay any of the debt down. They don't even pay any of the principal. They only pay the interest on the debt. They don't even pay down any principal. So, in your mortgage, so you're paying down some principal. They don't even do that. They just leave it down on the balance sheet. They just take the interest. Costs go up. They don't care.
And they just keep pushing it.
Take money
keep
out.
Pushing it out. Just keep pushing it out.
Nice little $25 million check in their pockets every year.
Yeah, dividend's not going to slow down. They said that there will be a Q4 dividend.
Oh, of course. All day. Well, we'll keep you posted. Burn the mother to the ground. Next article, plenty to smile about. Man United giving Igalo loan boost at Shanghai. Shenhua. Softened stance. Hashtag Igalo FC. Look, it's not done yet. Odi and Igalo apparently is close. Sky Sports has said it. You can read it at americanreddevils.com as well. The loan expires at midnight UK time, so 4 p.m. Pacific today. We shall know. The loan extension would be through January. I checked Twitter before we came on the pod. A few sources, Muppets, said it was done. I'm sure there could be an announcement right now as we speak on Twitter. We just can't talk and check Twitter at the same time. But Igalo, what do you think?
I mean, the news at the beginning of the week was like, Shanghai was digging their feet in. They were going to try and get a big money deal. Now it looks like they've softened. I think these are the kind of deals that we're going to see from United. In the first place, like we loaned them at the end of January, but trying to get a loan extension, trying to get a cheap deal for a Gallo versus trying to buy a star striker like a Werner, that's not going to happen. I think we're lucky to get a Sancho, but I'd be happy with the Gallo. I think we got some decent strikers to the squad, more than decent, and some players that are going to be, need a little bit more time to even grow into the type of player they can become, i.e. Mason Greenwood or even Marcus Rashford. So it's great to have an Igalo around who can just bang in goals. I'm all about it. He's got the right attitude. We should keep him around as long as we can. Keep him on loan, and then let's see where we are in January if we can extend his contract till then.
All right, it's looking. I just checked Twitter. Nothing official, but everything says imminent. So as we're talking right now, we can expect Igalo to stay through January unless there's a curveball thrown in by Shanghai. Shenhua. No idea. I just like saying it that way. Next article, there's going to be a ton of injuries. Premier League stars walking fitness tightrope as football returns. Per the Express, injuries, something we want to hit on. I saw this in the Bundesliga. Dortmund was playing lights out. I've been watching them. And then as soon as they had to play in a big game with a lot of pressure, playing against Bayern Munich, pretty much for the league, that's when you saw some ligament injuries. Haaland went off with an injury. This is the stuff we got to watch out for. And United having a really big fixture right out of the gate, it's kind of hard. It's going to be hard for players. They haven't been playing a lot at full speed, right? There's that extra gear everyone has. I'm going to be looking at the players like Rashford, James. Those are the guys, they try to do their 100%, and it could be risky. You don't want to see them go down.
I mean, forget the match. I'm worried about players getting hurt in training. We're going to have 3 weeks of training, full contact. Stuff happens. They're all trying to look to impress Ole, right? There's a competition in the squad, and the last thing you want is someone getting a serious injury. So injuries are always a concern. They have not fallen our way this year. They probably not fallen their way under Ole. The last thing, the thing we really want is some good luck. If we can keep a fully fit squad through the rest of football, I think we'll be in a great position. It's going to be about injuries for sure.
The news here: Alexis Sanchez, Inter Milan want Manchester United winger to extend loan per Sky Sports. I mean,
sir, what do you think about Sanchez? You want Sanchez back?
I actually wanted him back at United. I mean, we're paying part of his wages to go play at Inter, and so part of me says, well, if you're paying part of his wages, why don't you just have him at United? I guess he's just a snake. I guess no one likes him. Something like this, he doesn't get along with Ole. I don't know what it is about Sanchez. He's not even playing well at Inter, really. No. I'm sure he wants to stay at Inter. He doesn't want to be at United. So I guess that's okay. Let him go. I would like for him to work out. I remember him playing lights out before he came to United. So, he can't hurt.
I remember. It's all memories when it comes to Alexis Sanchez. No one's seen him tear up any kind of football recently. We're not paying part of his contract, so we're paying 3/4 of his £450,000 a week salary. I have to agree with you, right? If it's like he's still an option, probably better than a Pereira at the end of the day if you're trying to get a goal. But he must be such a poor personality in the locker room that Ole wants nothing to do with him. Like, get out, right? It's got to be the case because otherwise he'd use him.
Dude, you have to think he'd play on the wing. You'd have to think he'd play on the wing, right? Alexis Sanchez.
I take him.
I mean, United number 7, right? He's like, you have to think you'd play him on the wing, but. Look, I'd like to see him come back. I'd like to give him another chance. Second chances. I'm a big believer in second chances.
There you go. We'll see. Maybe in January.
I'll tell you what. I'm excited for Paul Pogba. Watch his highlight reel from, what was it, 18-19? Well, Paul Pogba, all the drama. I get back on the pitch. He's a beast. He's a boss. He could change the game. Him and Bruno. If you look at what we got coming back, I mean, Paul Pogba, let's make top 4. Paul Pogba comes out, wants to stay, signs the extension, like, we're good to go. Let's go win some trophies. I mean, it'd be too tough to lose a player like him. You see what he can do. It's just like, I wish it would go right. My heart wants it to work, but
the end of the season is going to be huge. The end's going to be huge, right? If he sees something, right? If Bruno is bringing the right attitude to the club, pushing him in the right way, and we finish with some silverware, finish strongly in top 4, maybe he's like,
yeah,
pay me big money, and let's do this thing. Let's challenge for titles because we're going to be a stronger team with Paul Pogba on our side. If he's ready to go, eager to play, motivated Paul Pogba, yes, that's the caveat that always needs to be said. But a motivated Paul Pogba and this team, it's a better team. It's a good team. It's going to be hard on Ole to pick a starting 11 that is perfect, but those are good problems to have, right?
No, absolutely. And look, it's been a great podcast. Thanks to all the American Red Devils who's tuned in. We have you set for the coming fixtures. I mean, we can't wait. Football's back. United are back. We're fighting for top 4. It's all on the line. City are appealing the Champions League ban. What's going to happen? I mean, it's just unbelievable. This is just going to be like nonstop football. Like you said, the wives might murder us. Today we did the pod match recap. We streamed it on Twitch. This is going to be our last live stream was today. We rewatched the Spurs game, obviously. I think that was just to get an idea of, okay, where are Spurs at? Look at the matchup again. And then next Sunday, June 7th, we'll be doing the season recap podcast. We'll go through the entire season, month by month, getting us up to the current day so you can remember the ups and the downs, all the big fixtures, where we left all the different cup competitions and where they might come back as well, FA Cup, Europa League, etc. Then June 14th, the weekend before the big match comeback for Manchester United, we'll be dropping the Spurs match preview pod, our normal schedule. We're resuming the normal American Devils.
Back in the game. The
good old preview pod. We'll be breaking down the tactics, starting 11, who Ole is going to pick. We're back. Go through the table, sir. It's going to be awesome. And then that June 21st, that Sunday, we'll be back in normal business doing the recap pod. And from there, it'll be the previews and the recaps and the banter. Keeping them coming. The fan questions, absolutely love it. We'll be off to the races. Knock on wood, COVID doesn't come back in English Premier League. And yeah, we're off to the races. So American Red Devils, that's our plan. And if you have any questions, comments, or any suggestions, please hit us up on Twitter or email us at americanreddevils@gmail.com. This pod is for fans, by fans. Again, No biases. We are not pro-Glazer here. If you didn't need to know.
We're just our biases. That's the only bias that we care about. But shout out to us a little bit. Way to keep the fire burning, through this 3-month hiatus, because I am ready to go, chomping at the bit to break down football again. Talk about this club, talk about the banter, talk about the rumors, talk about the Muppetry. I'm just excited. I miss this club so much. Even watching this game, I was just like, damn, I miss football.
I mean, it's I miss it. I wear the jerseys all the time. I work out in my garage. I have my Manchester United flag. I look at that flag, and I have a lot of pride for this club. I have a duty as a fan. For me, it's like we've been in this thing for 15 years plus, and these owners and what they're doing is not right, and we need to be speaking that truth about what they're doing on the financial side and making sure they're held to account, because the fans need to know. This club needs to be run with respect. It needs to be run for the fans. I mean, think of all these people around the world who absolutely love and support this club, and someone's just draining cash out of it. It's not right. It's an injustice. We'll be served transparency. We will be delivering it. And, look, seeing the players back on the pitch is going to matter. But for me, I wake up every day, and this club's a huge part of my life, So we got to fight for it. Got to fight for top 4. I wish I could play for them. Didn't make it. They won't give me a tryout.
Nope, I wouldn't think about that. This is all you can do, sir. We can cover them. We can provide a little insight for whatever it's worth. And we're fans. At the end of the day, we love this club. And that's the reason we do this podcast. We enjoy doing this podcast. It's fun to have the banter that we have and just have a break and talk about football away from the wives. But at the end of the day, this is about Manchester United Football Club. This is why we do it. This is the greatest club in the world, the greatest fans in the world. And that's why we get so mad at the Glazers, because it is injustice, man. The fact that they've taken $1.5 billion out of this club over almost 20 years now. It's sad. It breaks my heart a little bit, because this is a great storied club with unbelievable history and just everything about it, except for that. You got parasitical owners, and it's a shame. But at the end of the day, you can't always talk about the bad things. Talk about the good things. While we're bullish, because this club
FC. We're not Bonesaw FC.
No, we're not. We're not. Not yet, sir. So it's possible.
You could have worse owners. It's just the money game. That it's not quite the human rights game. As the Saudis would say. Versus, you could have worse owners.
I mean, look at Chelsea. You could have way worse owners. So.
But you want someone who cares. It could be run in the fair way. It's somebody who has a vision that I tell my wife, she probably glazes over when I talk to her about this. It's just like, it's 2020 that you can't, this is like what they're doing is like the, Wall Street 90s thing. It's just like, behind a facade, lie about everything, take money out of the club. It's like 2020, time to have transparency. You got to talk to the fans. You got to be a part of it. You got to engage us as a community. You got to tell us what you're doing with the stadium. You got to tell us what you're doing with the squad. You got to tell us what you're doing across the board, because that's how you build a strong brand in 2020. And I'm glad the Glazers haven't eroded the brand, but it might start happening if Manchester United continue to falter, don't make Champions League, and they don't have the money to kind of splash another $500 million. What are they going to do?
Mate, they have
their own money into it? No,
they have eroded the brand. They have eroded the brand. How many kids under 5 do you see wearing Manchester United gear versus 10 years ago? So they have eroded the brand, unfortunately, just because they haven't run it well. A business that's run well will make money for their owners hand over fist. They just completely mismanage it. They put it on Ed Woodward. They're like, he knows what he's doing. Look at the last 7 years.
Moron.
He is actually a moron.
Absolutely a moron. Honestly, the one saving grace is Woodward is not American. Right? It's like because I'm like, yeah, the American owners are sucking money out of the bozo running it. He's from the UK, and that actually gives me lets me sleep.
That makes you feel better. That makes you feel better.
If there was an American in there, he wouldn't be nearly as terrible.
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. It would be making money.
He would hire a director of football. Anyone smart with that business acumen would be like, I don't know anything about this sport, so I'm going to hire someone really smart, somebody who's done it before at another club. And
year one, you would have done that.
And I'm going to make sure we don't run out of money and burn to the ground, which is what Ed Woodward has done simultaneously. It's unbelievable.
Sir, we could talk about this all day. I can't wait for the next pod.
This is a tangent. So we're supposed to be talking about the top down.
Top down. You ready? Should I go top to bottom?
Top to bottom.
All right, number 1, how you doing? Brooklyn, New York. Number 2, Los Angeles, California. Number 3, Woking, United Kingdom. Number 4, Meyer, Minnesota. Number 5, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Number 6, Florence, South Carolina. Number 7, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Number 8, Oak Park, Illinois. Nice mix of freedom forward places. Number 9, Republic, Missouri. And last but not least, number 10, Sugar Land, Texas. Thank you for all the downloads. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody listening week in, week out to the American Red Devils podcast. Football's coming back on the menu. Glazer Out agenda will not stop. It is back. It's taken about a 3-month hiatus, but we're back. We're remind people every pod.
If you like the podcast, write a review on iTunes or you can purchase the merchandise at americanreddevils.com. Click on store. If you haven't figured it out, sometimes we actually forget we're doing a podcast.
We thought we were just talking on Skype.
2 friends on the couch talking about Manchester United. That's what this pod is. It will always be that. So it will never be anyone talking in our ears telling us what to do.
Hey, man, last time I checked, we're still 11 games unbeaten.
Hoodie's unbeaten. United's unbeaten. How goes it feel?
Always at the wheel.